I want to become stable. I want to become somehow rooted. I know myself. I know what I can do. I'm happy with myself. I'm fulfilled with myself. And now everything else can come additionally, and I'm going to enjoy it. But I know for myself already, I'm centered. I'm in peace. And so this is maybe, for me personally, the more proper word, what I am looking for. I want to wake up and just be in peace. Because this peace for me gives now the foundation for everything else to come. There's something about you which is stronger than the mind. The mind can be your friend and the mind can be your enemy. You worked so hard for it. Now you have it. Enjoy it. But you can't enjoy it if all the time you think about last week, or if you think all the time about what happens in the future. Enjoying what you have is you arrive exactly where you are right now with what you have. That's it. There is no wishing for something more of the future, and there's not wishing for something that wouldn't have happened of the past. No, you're in the present. That's it. And the more you realize this about yourself, the more you integrate this just into your normal being, then it starts to shift. Just bring more presence into present. If I observe myself, the most of the time I'm present and I'm realizing when I'm not. When I'm absent, I realize it. When I'm present, it's my normal state. For other people, maybe it's the other way around. The truth is, you're always present. You just don't know about it. There's some layer on top of the presence which somehow makes you think you're not in the present, but we're always in the present. Just the realization that you are is not there because it is overlaid by thoughts. If you take the thoughts away, you will realize, oh, there it is. One approach that we have at the moment in this world is, in order for us to feel full, we need to attain something. We need to do something. You need to have your diploma. You need to have your job. You need to have money. You need to have the first car. You need to have. So this approach is about you need. It's about doing. But the realization that I was just telling you right now that you have yourself is, no, it's not about doing. It's there already. It's just covered all the time. This time is not about adding something there. It's about this year must go. And that one must, oh, there it is. Nothing needs to be done. It is something we have to undo. This is the Eastern approach. It's the balance. You don't have to throw away everything that you have learned. It's just that there are more perspectives that when you have access to both of these perspectives, just find out for yourself. Sometimes this makes more sense, sometimes this makes more sense. Well, important part is, as long as you have it, you can choose when to use it. But if you don't even have it, you can't use it. So what does it mean? Whatever there is to learn in this world, it's never wrong to learn it. You never know if you will need it one day. And then it's better to have than to need. It is one way out of many that are existing. I did talk only about this my whole life because I walk this way. It doesn't mean it's the only way. It's just because I walked it for so long, it is my understanding of how these practices interfere or are connected with building up a life that you think is worth living. That's it. What is the Shaolin practices doing for me? Help me build up a life, a quality life. That's it. But ultimately, it's the mind. You make your body strong. You have movements that on the one side also sometimes are quite aesthetic. And it's so nice and whole for me. There's everything involved. There is diet involved. There is structure involved, like when would it be good to wake up? When is it good to go to sleep? And all of these things. So it's a whole nice, let's say, culture, tradition. This is what I find so nice about it. That the search is over. You don't need to search for like here I take this yoga practice, and then from here I take the breathing exercises from here, and from here I take like the dancing moves, and then you have like a mix-up menu. But mix-up menu maybe gives you the feeling of you have some freedom. Yeah, but structure gives you direction. You eat at 8 o'clock, then you have training from 9 until 11. When you finish the training, you're hungry already. But you need to wait until 1 o'clock. Cannot eat in between. Yeah, but why can I not just go to the kitchen and eat when I'm hungry? Because this is your mind telling you. But there's something about you which is stronger than the mind. The mind can be your friend and the mind can be your enemy. And if I'm telling you there are 3 times per day eating, that's it. In the first weeks, still you're thinking about eating, you're hungry, all of this. But at some point, you will have accepted it. That, okay, 8 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 6 o'clock. You're okay. And what does it mean? Now the real freedom has come. Now you're free. Because even if you're hungry and you say next food is at 6 o'clock, no problem, I can wait, that's good. And you're free. Not free is, it's 2 o'clock, I'm already hungry, 4 more hours, I need to eat something. I cannot wait until 6 o'clock anymore. This is not free. This idea of what does freedom mean to you, does it mean you can go to the kitchen anytime you want? No. That means you're slave to the mind. Free is no matter what the mind tell you, you can wait, I can wait. This is where now you see that sometimes it's necessary to have this obvious structure and discipline. But why? Because it's a helpful way to bring out that type of freedom that we say from our tradition. This is the freedom. It's also not the freedom in terms of you walk through Cluj, yeah, many beautiful women, but at home you have your own women sitting already. Now you could say, well, it's a free world, we're all free, so my wife is at home, but actually I can still flirt around. This is a way of where you say, well, this is freedom. Yeah, but where does this type of freedom lead to? It's leading to suffering. You're causing suffering by behaving this type of free. No, if you have one wife, you stay with that one wife, that's it. And you stay free from suffering. But if somebody is tempted too much, if somebody cannot handle his temptation, he's enslaved by temptation. And at some point, this type of behavior is not just going to bring suffering to you, it also brings suffering to everyone that you are involved in. This is where I say, what type of freedom are you talking about? And the freedom that eventually is going to get onto the costs or is causing suffering to you and other ones, this is not the freedom we want. It's the type of freedom that makes us be able to live together in the community way better. This is the way of freedom, where I can let you live the life how you like to live it, and you let me live my life how I like to live it. I don't need to tell you your way is wrong, you should live like I do. No, this is not free, this is limited. This is thinking you have the answers to the questions of the universe. Well, you don't, just as like I don't have them. The only thing I'm sharing right now is my observation. I don't say it's right for anyone. I just say until now, everything we talked about, it worked for me. If something is useful from what we have talked about and somebody tries it out and then realize, cool, also works for me, I'm really happy about it. But if somebody says, well, this is not my way of living, I don't share this opinion, it's not a problem. What is it in the evening that is sucking energy most probably? It's the mind. It's the mind activity very much, which is sucking a lot of energy. You go to bed, you wake up in the morning, but still feel like very tired and not recovered. It might be the reason that your brain, your mind is still too active in the evening. Stop thinking too much of the past, stop dreaming too much about the future, practice yourself, remain in the present, and this also then translates into your quality of sleep. Because when you sleep, you sleep. When you eat, you eat. When you talk, you talk. When you work, you work. But nowadays, people work and they think about eating. People eat and they think about sleeping. People sleep and they think about working. So there's something not aligned. There is no synchronicity. You are here, but actually something else is there. This is not how it's supposed to be. Being present means sleep, you sleep. You talk, you talk. You eat, you eat. You walk, you walk. You drive, you drive. You listen, you listen. This is ultimately where all of this journey goes. And then the amount of sleep is not so important, but the recovery rate is very, very different. I'm happy if I have 7 hours. When I have 7 hours, I'm happier. Yeah? 6 hours is quite limit. So 6 is really limit. I can maintain even 5 or 6 hours, but after a few days, I feel it's not good to continue like this. Because then you're starting to really burn some energy which you cannot recover anymore. Very interesting now when it comes to that word energy, how it is related to diet, breathing, and lifestyle. The quickest way to change something about the way how you feel during the day or energy state are these 3 things: diet, breath work, and lifestyle. If you have good nutritious food, if your breathing apparatus is working properly, and if your lifestyle, let's say waking up at a certain time, going to bed early enough, having enough sleep, if you maintain all of these 3 things, chances are very, very good that your energy level is proper. If the diet is not good, if your breath is not good, if your lifestyle is not good, still you are alive somehow, but the energy that is now being sucked out from you in order to make you still functioning, it is coming from something that we, let's say in the ancient tradition, call it comes from your essence, which means ultimately no good lifestyle, no good food, no good breath, life short. You die early. Very simple. So that's it. You have some mindset where challenge is not an obstacle for you, where difficulties in life is nothing that stops you, but a challenge in life, a conflict that comes up. Everything that makes you feel uncomfortable at the first glance, it's nothing that is depressing you. It is something where you actually realize that is the next area of my growth. Because it's heartbreaking, because it is so heartbreaking, because it goes so deep, it carries the potential for the highest transformation. So this type of change of perspective, if you want to see it bad, it's going to be bad. But if the circumstances right now are like this, and with the mindset which is in your hands, you can still transform it somehow. The highest transformation can happen. And this is, I think, the value. This is why I like so much in the Buddhist teachings. Number 1 sentence is, with our thoughts we create the world. The circumstances are not going to change. What happened to you is not going to change. But dependent on how you are tuning your thoughts, something about it is going to change. This is why the power of the mind is so important. Because it is ultimately outside there, the wars, everything is not going to change. Because it's not dependent on what you want. You can only determine what is going to be the consequence of what comes to you. How will you transform it? Will you let it stuck inside of you and it slowly eats you up from the inside? Or do you make something different about it? And this is based on the thoughts, on the mental redirectioning of yourself. Yeah.
How do we keep going when we lose hope?
Either you have very strong personalities next to you that realize you're about to lose hope, and that's why they keep pushing you, which means that's why it's good to sometimes have a brotherhood or a sisterhood or somebody you are very close to, people they can sense, they know when your motivation is down and you cannot get up by yourself, that's why you have them. Then they come and help you. It's good to have sometimes a bond like this. The second thing is, if somebody is losing hope already, maybe the vision that gives the hope is not strong enough. Hope dies at last. I really think so in a way too. But if the hope dies too early, before that, that was not hope. That was maybe an idea that you have. Maybe it was like a motivating thought that you had, but it was not hope. Hope is really, really deeply, deeply embedded, where internally you don't care about what 8 billion other people say. You have it, and you're going to do it.
What creates a positive mindset?
In my way of seeing the things, it's about understanding that this world that we are living in, simply expressed, there's always an exchange between the left side and the right side, the bad side and the good side, the negative and the positive, the pessimistic and the optimistic. That's why for me, those two, they always belong together. And it is normal for me that sometimes circumstances are bad, but I also know, at the moment, but it's an exchange. Sooner or later, it will be also becoming good again. Now I'm a little bit depressive, but it's gonna change. Same way is, now everything is positive. Yeah, but I know it's gonna change. Things are changing. Nothing ultimately stays as it is. That's why I'm not sure if it is a positive mindset that I would propagate. My mindset would be that you are neither stuck in a negative one, but you're also not stuck in a positive one. So your perspective, your mindset would be one that at all times always sees actually the exchange of this one and this one. And sometimes, out of circumstances, out of whatever reasons, sometimes it's more based upon here. But then you also know, just a question of time, I move here. So to understand the interplay of these two and accept it actually that also the negative part is part of my life. As long as I also take care that it doesn't stay for a too long time in my life, I can have my bad days. Because to push yourself in having positive thoughts, be optimistic, can also sometimes be like you see people do it, but you can feel they're not. They behave like everything would be great, great life, but I can see inside it's not. You have to be as you are, based with all two forces. It's just that stay calm, nothing stays as it is. See the interplay always of both forces, and then get calm about it and regulate it. And then somewhere along the line, maybe it becomes balanced then. It's about fullness. It's about how full do you feel. If somebody wakes up every morning without any goal, without any purpose, but feels just fulfilled, no need for purpose. But I think in the modern society, we find it probably a phenomena. You have everything, more or less. Wake up, but there is this discontentment. Don't know what to do with your time. Don't know the sense of, And then I think it would make sense to add just as a motivator. It makes sense to give your life a purpose. Also meaning you're not searching for it. In the first stage, don't need to search for it, meaning, what is my purpose? You have to ask the question, but you don't necessarily search for it. First is you give your life a purpose. So you can say you put yourself a mission statement. First thing is just you need to keep going. You need to do something in order to make use of the lifetime that has been given to you. But along this way, things are going to change. There will come the period you do, and then you realize all the doing actually brought nothing. So maybe you will return back to, it's about the non-doing. And then you do nothing again. But then at the same time you realize, but with all the non-doing, I could do actually much more. Then you start doing again. And along this way, you're going to figure out the middle way for you to live. It's both of them. It's not about being active all the time, and it's also not about being passive all the time. It's about being present in all of these times.
What is a healthy relationship?
I'm not only talking about human relationships. I'm not talking about love relationships only. There can be many types of relationships. First that just comes to my mind is, in order that there is a type of relation, that means there must be already at least more than two components involved. These components then have a connection. This is number one. If there is no connection, it's difficult to determine any type of relation between them. So first we need a connection. That connection can mean that feeling-wise maybe, based on the emotional, on the feelings, on your emotional states, maybe there is something that is in resonance, which means there is something that two beings have in common. That's why it's resonating. So if this type of connection is already there, then I think it's a good starting point. On the other side, what can also happen is that in the mind, you are having a desire for something, but the feeling is not one of connection that you have there. In the mind, it says, yes, I want, but feeling-wise, it's not there. This is for me not a good starting point. How do I know if a relationship can develop into a healthy way? I think you must directly start right from the beginning. If the feeling with which you have entered into this relation, no matter what type, if there is resonance. Of course, we think we know what we want. The question is that what you want, does it fit to what another person wants? What you want, does it fit together what like your dog wants? And if there is no basic, if there is no way that you can connect, and after the connection, what is happening then? Exchange. Exchange, giving and taking. Meaning also, if within one type of connection, if one type of relationship, the flow is always one directional, it's not going to work. So after connecting, after resonance, then the question is, how do you see the flow of exchange within this bond? And if it is a healthy flow where nothing is stagnating, there is a giving and a taking. From times this can change, but it's there. So there is flow. Then I think a relationship can develop in very nice directions. In my view about the world, I believe in cause and effect. Simply meaning, you plant an orange seed, you get an orange tree. You plant an apple seed, you get an apple tree. How did I become the way how I am today? I am the effect. Who is the cause? My parents. So why can I be here? Why are we able to talk? Because of my parents. And everything that you can trace back, thanks to my parents, that's why there is gratitude. Why can I do in the martial art field the things that I can do? Because I had teachers that taught me the things. Gratitude to all of the people, all of the masters and teachers that taught me these skills, taught me these methods. The friends, the ones why you are still a person today who believes in hope, who believes in keep going, who believes in friendship, who are the key persons that you nowadays still have it. Well, gratitude to all these companions that you have met in your lifetime. So everybody will find plenty of people or beings, also animals, no problem, where you feel like that without them, you would have never become the person you are today. And the ultimate gratitude is, I think, once again, to this one who allowed everything to happen. And this is why I don't know if you call it the universe, if you wouldn't want to call it the nature, different nations, different cultures, different names. But there is probably something that we cannot just give a name, but without it, we would all not be here. And so there also goes a huge amount of gratitude towards life itself. Being able to live, being able to see colors, being able to speak, being able to listen to things. I see when you start to see the glimpses of truth. When you see that the truth makes you feel free. This is when you start to realize there is something I can do. Only one of these moments must come. And if you pay more attention to them, more of them will come. How long do you have to keep up the structure? Until you realize that you don't have to be the slave of your mind. In our approach, this is the beginning to freedom. To not be enslaved again only by your mind. Because the mind is way less than what you can become. Or the mind is way less than what you actually already are. But the mind is too dominant in many people's lives. So all of this structure here is for what? To realign and to give you a new perspective about how you should see the relationship between you and your mind. And the relationship is that you need to master the mind and not the mind is mastering you. These are two different ways. But ultimately, you will not need any type of external structure anymore. Once you have understood the core, once you have the essence, I think then all structure you can lay down. Discipline means you just do it, no matter what you think of it. You don't want to make it, you still make it. You want to stop the training, but you still make it. There is no excuse because you just simply have, in a way, the order. It is important, but there are many, many more things that you're able to work on. You can learn to become more patient. You can learn to live a life with less judgment. You can start observing more instead of judging. Start to live a more honest life, less lying to other people, less lying to yourself. It's not just discipline. There are questions, so what is the most important? Everything is important. Everybody in this world will have the chance and will have access to practice in self-mastery. There are many of these things which in the beginning make it maybe easy for you to get a feeling of security, get a feeling of safety, and because you are safe, you're able to open more up. But I think a good life is when you live this life to the fullest, regardless of where you are, regardless of in which life circumstances you find yourself in. There are so many things we cannot influence. Everybody needs to find something, to find stability in whatever life you're living there. And even if it's in the war zone, they still need to find something stable there. Maybe they will never be able to leave their country. But even for them, there is the chance to find something stable about them and to make something good from this lifetime. And may it even be that in this complete war zone, they still have their close bond between their families, between their brothers, something like this, something where they feel this gave me strength, this gave me power. Even something like this can lead to a good life. To the question, where do I start? Find something in your own life at the moment or in the last week that made you feel not okay. And then start investigating it. What was not okay? Which area is it? What was not okay there? And then you figure out what are the 2 points supposed to be that you want to balance there. And how do you know that something is not in balance or that something is not in harmony? You simply know because you don't feel well. Or there's something telling you this is not correct, or it should not be like this, or you don't feel well. Yeah? This is when you feel there's some disharmony. And sometimes, or oftentimes, is the balance between the expectations that you have towards persons, towards situations, towards things, and then the reality that you're meeting. If those 2 things are not somehow harmonized, if you don't find a way to make those 2 areas merge into one, you will constantly be in the struggle of this is how it should be and this is how it is. This is I want and this is I don't want. The first step is just to discover or look inside yourself and see what is there out of balance and what needs to be balanced. In order to find it inside of you and in order to be able to really go with your mind and ask yourself and investigate yourself, your attention must be with yourself. So that's why the first step again is try to not get distracted too much by outside stimuli. Go to a retreat. Make a retreat. Just retreat. Once the attention is there, and once you know it's there, now this attention is able to penetrate deeper and you can start observing things about yourself. And how do you do this? How do you get the attention to a retreat? How do you retreat? You can practice martial arts, you can practice Kung Fu, and you can practice Qigong in such a way that you will realize that all these practices are the perfect methods to exactly spend time with yourself. You realize for yourself when we were having the hard training and you were pushed to your limits, in the moment where you are reaching the limits, you don't have time to listen to the birds singing. You don't have time to think about any problems. You don't dream about any movie and you don't dream about any holiday. The only thing you care about is what and how can you make something with yourself. Concentrate more, tense more up, stay more focused. It is something you are figuring out for yourself, how to maintain this concentration. But the reason why you made it is because you made some Kung Fu, because you made some training. So you used the training method, you used the Kung Fu, you used the Qigong in order to get back to yourself. And this is why the Kung Fu and the Qigong are two very, very helpful methods in order to get access again to yourself.
Invest your lifetime in elevating the openness of the heart for you. This is the elevation. But how are you able to elevate? How do you know at which level of elevation you are finding yourself? Well, this needs to be tested. What it means is, if you are still getting angry if somebody takes your cup of tea or takes your cup of coffee away, it's still far, far away from being an elevated soul, from being an elevated being. If small things like this still bothering you. Could happen that more and more often you are just dropping something, you are losing something, people take something from you away. It always triggers the same level of your elevation inside of you until you master it, until you have come to the conclusion, okay, it cannot be. For the last 5 years, I'm exploding. I'm getting super mad whenever somebody takes my cup of water. So how often will this repeat again until you learn the lesson? And when this happens, it's gone. But now something else comes. Now maybe you start having a relationship, but all the time you are confronted with jealousy. And then you just observe yourself what happens when you are acting upon jealousy. Mostly the outcome is not going to be one that keeps the relationship alive on the long term. So if jealousy is a problem that you carry from one relationship to the next, to the next, to the next, and then one day you are wondering, why are you not able to keep up a relationship? Well, this is another type of challenge. It's another type that tries to trigger how much are you internally elevated, evolved? How much have you matured? Have you grown inside of yourself? And the amount of tests, the amount of challenges, they are infinite ways how to test you. But one thing always stays the same. You need to find a way to overcome them. The only thing I realize is that I can be in two different states of the mind. I can be continuously being mind-based, and whatever comes on my mind, this is what I am acting upon. Whatever comes to my mind, I'm going to act on it. So just right now, if I feel like, I'm hungry, so then I follow up on that thought. I walk somewhere, grab something to eat, come back here, eat. But another way, another state of the mind is simply that right now, for example, I'm talking with you. And of course, I can observe myself how maybe sometimes thoughts are popping up. The difference right now is that I am, first of all, not directly identifying with any of them. I know they have popped up, but they just have no relevance at the moment for the fact of that I'm speaking with you. This is at the moment what matters more to me than to eat or to drink something. But because I can see the thoughts popping up, this is why I can decide to not identify myself with it, because it has just come to my attention. This thought has only come to my attention, but that's it. Just because something comes to your attention doesn't mean you have to act upon it. One thing is to hold on to the thought. This is already the first thing that many people sometimes do. A thought comes up and you actively actually hold on to it. The second trap you can do is, after grabbing it, you invest even more attention to what you have grabbed there, which means now you're starting to fuel this thought. You're giving energy, you're giving awareness to this one thought. And the more this energy is now flowing into that type of thought, well, the more it's going to carry you away. But the bottom line of living this life is that from morning till evening, we all have thoughts, but the message is 90% of all the thoughts are unnecessary. They don't have a relevance for something that you really want to do when you wake up. If I want to talk with you right now, I have set my mind, I'm going to be concentrated, we have this conversation, and all the thoughts that pop up in between, it's irrelevant. So I can see them coming and I can see them passing. And afterwards, when we have finished this conversation and any of these thoughts start to pop up again, then I have still time now to decide, do I want now to follow up on any of the thoughts or not? So that means suddenly you have control. You have control over your 24-hour day. If you eat, you eat. If you talk, you talk. If you sleep, you sleep. If you make a movement, you make a movement. This is the way of life. Nowadays, the problem is you talk, you think about eating. You are eating, you think about sleeping. You are sleeping, you think about moving. You are moving, you think about reading. Okay? For me, it's not, I don't want to be out of the body. The thing is, I don't want to be unaligned. This is what I don't want to be. Everything about me, I want it to be aligned. What I feel is what I say, is what I think, is what I do, is what I act upon. It's one way. It's not two options. So what is a very special moment? It is when no matter what you're doing, you just do. It's one. You're not thinking about what you're doing. What you think is what you do. It is synchronized as one. And this is what year-long martial art practice is doing, is training you, is displaying to you that there is a way how mind and body can unite to such a deep, deep level that it has nothing to do with thinking anymore. It's the pure expression of what you are, not who you are, of what you are. So if you want to have a specific outcome, there is a rational way of how to achieve this outcome. But what if the outcome is not in our hands? Which means sometimes you walk through this lifetime, it doesn't matter what you have done. Sometimes you are encountering people that come into your life. You don't know why they show up, why exactly in this moment of time they have appeared in your lifetime. There is nothing rational about it, but there is a deep truth embedded in this. Meanwhile, is my personal feeling. You are never meeting somebody by coincidence in this lifetime. Everybody who appears in your lifetime, they are there for a reason. And maybe it's for you to figure out this riddle. Why is that person coming to your life? What is that lesson you are supposed to learn? Why nowadays do different places like monasteries, like ashrams, why do these places exist? Because there are certain frameworks. You are setting up a certain environment. And in this environment, it just makes it easier to cultivate something specific, let's say. But for the beginning, to really develop something, it is very helpful to have the proper framework. And this is what a monastery, an ashram, retreat places, being calm, being isolated a little bit for yourself. This is where it helps in the beginning. Solve every problem now. Now. That's the only way. What I don't solve now, 10 minutes later, I still have it. I'm not talking about the financial department not this type of problems. I talk about the internal conflicts that you carry around, the internal human-made by yourself problems. Yes, because it is a part of you. So if you want to live in paradise, that means you have to become already right now the paradise. If you can't find the paradise inside of yourself, you're not going to find it tomorrow. That first arrow is the fact of you walk through this lifetime, you will encounter things that in the first moment are going to hurt you. It's going to happen to all of us. But now the question is, after something like this has happened, how are you going to cope with it now afterwards? Many people are still dwelling in the past, carrying the suffering and the pain from that event still with them. Even if a month has passed, a year has passed, 10 years have passed, it's still there. This is the literal example for remaining too much still in the past. And this is the second arrow, for example. When you start walking through this lifetime, every human being is going to encounter different moments, different situations that are going to trigger something that most of us would regard as unpleasant. This is already the beginning where we are saying, walking through this lifetime, you will encounter suffering in many, many different variations. Even going to the doctor, going to the dentist, having a surgery, hitting your knee against something. This type of suffering is especially hard when it now comes to the loss of beings. So meaning if you had a very close relationship to an animal, if you had a very close relationship to your parents or to a beloved one, and then this person passes away, there is also the suffering of this loss. So the bottom line for all human beings is, when we are getting born and start walking through this lifetime, we are going to encounter suffering. You could say, yes, this is the normal way of life, so there's no way around it. We need to find the state of being free of suffering in the here and now, in the moment, regardless of what you are doing. To experience the states of being free of suffering, one way to cultivate this are the so-called meditative practices. Literally put you simply in the here and now. Being in the past too much, thinking about what happened to you last year, how people insulted you last year, what you lost last year. So that means right now, the two of us talking, but my mind being in the past, is one way how I can at the moment suffer. But the fact is, it happened last year, but right now you're still suffering. Why? Because your mind is in the past. Now we don't know what the future is going to bring. I don't know how this year is going to evolve, in which countries the next war is going to break out. Oh, what's going to happen next week? What will I do when they come into my country? So at the same time, you can recall the sufferings also by spending too much time jumping into the future. So being in the past, being in the future, both of them are already sources where you're going to find suffering. As long as there is separation existing, separation from the present to the past, from the present to the future, from you to your surroundings, from good and bad, from having and losing, from living and dying. So the more your mind is based on either this or that, the more you see this separation, the higher the chances are, if you cannot find a way how to unite them, then it is automatically related to suffering. And so there's only one way how to reduce it, at least personally for everyone. Everything that you can observe in your lifetime, that you can observe from the moment you wake up in the morning, everything we are regarding as separated, figure out a way how to find the proper perspective and unite them. See that everything belongs together, regardless of if you like or dislike, because this is also separation, liking or disliking. Number one, you figure out your own personal way how to ensure that you are starting to love this life, to appreciate the time that has been given to you, to enjoy actually what you yourself are doing. That is the number one of greatness. And then after you have discovered that this is the way, that you liberate yourself to fully enjoy what chances have been given to you in living this existence. This is number one. Then the second one is spread the message that other people discover the same. I think there's nothing bigger, more sustainable, more purposeful, more peaceful, more heart fulfilling than these two things. You are feeling good living this life, and you make other people feel also good to live their life. And so at the end, everybody feels good living their life, problem solved. That's the greatness.
You become very, very sensitive. What type of physical changes are going on inside of you? What type of emotional changes are you dealing with on a daily basis? How is your mindset? How is the way of your thinking? What type of thoughts rising up in the morning, carrying out throughout the day? With what type of thoughts are you going to bed? What type of things are you dreaming? If you are numb, if you are sleeping, you are simply unaware of all of these things that are happening within a 24-hour, within a 7-day week, and within the 30 days month, and then within the whole year, and then within 100 years, one lifetime. Only if we know where a problem is located, only then we can adjust it. Theory is theory. Knowledge is knowledge. The theory doesn't change your life. The knowledge doesn't change your life. At the end of the day, it is action, action, action. That's it. Because if this life would be about knowledge, just stay at home, Google knows more. There is no human being who has that type of knowledge like Google has. But that's not it. You are receiving information. You are understanding the information. But the very important part, what you carry inside of you, knowledge, understanding. How does this translate into the 24-hour day so that everything that you know in theory starts to manifest also in real life? The universe only cares about the truth. The question is, but what do you refer as being the truth? Well, one of these truths for me is being given the gift of living this lifetime right now on earth inside a human body and live it miserably, live it sad, live it angry, live it in jealousy, live it in internal destruction. Sorry, it just doesn't make sense. I don't think the point of living this life is suffering more than necessary. What to do with the suffering? Well, you need to face it. You need to look it in the eye. Whatever is so fearful to you, whatever seems so impossible for you to do, whatever is like really challenging you, that is the one made as a challenge for you in this lifetime to face it. Some people have the ability to face it, some people do not have the ability to face it. Why? Two very important things are missing. Number one, the ability to let go is one very, very big part. The skill, the willingness to let go, the fact of letting go is number one. And number two, to have courage to face the fear, to face the truth, to face the darkness, to go into the dark. Because this is what it's about. To discover the purpose of life, to discover the intensity and the greatness of life, there is no alternative than being able to face the darkness and being able to jump into the unknown. But this is nothing that we humans are trained of. This is nothing that we humans are programmed to do in order to jump into the unknown. Because everything that we have grown up in the whole world is not about prepare yourself for the uncertainty. It is build up your illusion of security. This is where the worlds are colliding. Courage and the ability to let go. And these two elements, if you don't have them, courage and the ability to let go, because the growth of mental skills and the growth of physical skills is because you are continuously confronted with the comfort zone and are being forced to leave it, to move beyond the comfort zone. Something hurts, but it's okay, let's go through it. Pain is not gonna stop us. It's just an indication this is where, at this moment in time, our limit is. And because we understand this on the physical level, it starts to transcend and translate into the mental way of thinking. If the suffering is there, I'm not gonna run away from it, I'm not gonna ignore it, I'm gonna find a way to overcome the suffering. And this is the very, very important distinction, what I think this life is about. To overcome the suffering. Not to ignore the suffering, not to run away from the suffering, not to create your dream world in order to not face the suffering. No, the suffering is there, the enemy is there, face it. If you're not strong enough to face it at this moment, invest your lifetime to make yourself strong enough to one day be able to face it. In my world, if you don't face it, it will always be part of your existence. Why is the mind so important? It matters. If you wake up in the morning, what are you thinking when you wake up in the morning? And if you already wake up with conflict in the mind, with unsatisfaction inside the mind, wake up with a feeling of lack. I wake up, I have to do something quickly because I don't have it right now. Whatever it is. So running after something. Why do you chase anything? Because you're in a state of lack. Something's missing. If you would have it, why would you chase it? And now the question is, where does this lack come from? And now come back to the child. The child, the incarnated soul, the incarnated spirit, when it comes to the earth, whoever made it possible for that child to come, you can call it God, you can call it the nature, you can call it the universe, no matter what. This force, this power does not make mistakes. God is not putting you in this earth incomplete. Why would he do that? What he's putting on the earth is existence. He's granting us existence. And afterwards, it starts that we have concepts. We start thinking. We start having ideas about how this life is supposed to be. If you're not successful, it's not a life. If you don't have many cars, it's not a life. If you don't have many friends, it's not a life. Well, no, this is all human ideas. You came to the earth right from the beginning. You have been complete. This is the alternative. At the moment, I would say it's just guiding to rethink. So what is the next way of what can people do? Rethink your life. Look at how is your life looking at the moment? How did you spend the last 5 years, 10 years? Do you maybe see some patterns in your life? I tell you one pattern. Everybody has. I had it too. We all have it because it's normal. There was a time we didn't even have any mobile phone. Then the first Nokias came out. Okay, eventually you even got one. We're happy about it. Then the next generation of phones came out. And this one was, okay, it's old already. Hey, you wanted the next one. Then you got the iPhone. Then you got the MacBook Pro, the big TV screen. Then the first car you had, a Volkswagen. Afterwards, you had a BMW. But there is a pattern behind there. Whenever you get what you want, you will realize that's not it. And so the question is, when do you start to realize the pattern that running after desires is not going to fulfill your desire? What you need is realization. What you need is wake up. This is where all these terms are coming from. Also, to take that misunderstanding away. I grant you the Porsche. I grant you a big house, yeah. It's all nice and I mean, if you can afford it, it's absolutely something. I mean, why not? The German technology and possibilities that meanwhile is able to do is pretty awesome. The only thing is, ask yourself, your satisfaction about life, is it based on a condition or not? Because this is what I would see right now. Everything that at the moment you want to have, always when you say, I need this in order to feel complete, I want this in order to feel complete, then it means your life, your satisfaction about life is based on conditions. As long as I have many followers, I'm happy. As long as I have a family, I'm happy. As long as I have the car and the big house, I'm happy. The fact is, you do not have a guarantee. You do not have a security that at any point in time, you're gonna lose these things. First of all, latest, when the body falls apart, you're gonna lose them anyway. But even before that, just look out in the world when we had, for example, the restrictions because of the COVID. What can you do as an individual if the government decides, finished? No more podcast, no more going out, no more meeting friends, stay at home. And you had a lifestyle, every day you go out meeting friends, every day you drive around, every day you are outside. But now, because of whatever, you are forced to stay in that restriction. What is going to happen to your life satisfaction? The more it was based on the condition of life needs to look like this, the more we will suffer. Many developed depression and many started waking up, realizing I cannot base my life on circumstances where I don't have influence on. And this is exactly what this life is about. Don't base your life satisfaction on circumstances where you have no influence on. If you have, well, then change them in a way that serve you. But there are many things we don't have. To already right now, realizing I cannot, as a small citizen, I have no influence on whatever the politicians are going to throw out there. No way. Then you are realizing your life is in your hands. Your responsibility is make sure that inside you're always full, or that you're feeling full. No matter what happens on the outside, nobody can take something away from you. Because the gift that has been given to you is the existence, is this lifetime in the first place. We already have been given the greatest gift of everything, existence. Now, don't let anybody interfere trying to take that away from you. So that means don't outsource the power of having your life in your own hands. Don't outsource this to external circumstances. Don't outsource it to the amount of messages you receive per day. Don't outsource it to the number of followers. Don't outsource it to how big the apartment is, how many cars you have. If you can afford it, do it. Just don't make that emotional and mental attachment. This is the part. It's not about how many cars you have. You can have a whole garage full with all the luxury cars. That's not a problem. The problem is how much are you identified with your possessions. The identification is the problem. To have a garage full and just use them and enjoy them, and when you drive and the weather is nice, then it's really nice. But then you put it back into the garage, you go eat your meal, and while you're eating, the car is gone. You're not thinking about the car anymore. It's gone, it's standing in the garage, finished. Now you just enjoy the meal. Attachment is the problem. It is a process. It is of rewiring. How have you lived your life until right now? How much did it serve you, the way of thinking until now? And how much also did it limit you? These are all things every individual has to ask for themselves. I'm not giving you anything right now. I'm just saying something, which is, let's say, my view. And you have to ask yourself, what is it from what you have heard until right now that in a way resonates with you? You observe this pattern in your own life. And ultimately, the only person who can do something about it, it's not me. You make the decision. Your life is in your hands. The only thing that I'm doing is, if at all, I'm taking something away. I'm taking away misconceptions and illusions that people might have in this lifetime if they didn't have the possibility to hear other perspectives. Fear and also uncertainty. These two things are the biggest challenges every human being is going to face. The question is, are you living your life based on fear or not? And this fear is not helpful because it restricts you. It restricts your ability to expand the mind. Fear is restricting you to discover because fear makes you to stay inside the comfort zone. But why do we call something the comfort zone? It's because we have spent time already inside that zone that we know. You know everything about it inside there already. You have seen it, you have experienced all of it. That's why everything has become comfortable to you. So as long as you're comfortable, it means you are not leaving the things that you know. This existence is too big. It's 0.1% of knowing, it's 99% of not knowing. If you want to discover what is the 99.9%, it means you need to leave the space of knowing, you need to leave the space of comfort. You need to go into the uncertainty. And this is that fearful part. The more fearful you are, the more you're going to stay where you are. The less fearful you are, the more you're going to expand, the more you're going to discover. Now the question is, how can I now learn to face your fear? To face it. And there again, I think the Shaolin practices is one of these ways. So facing pain is also something that goes along the way of practicing the Shaolin martial arts. You don't have to jump right away into the darkness. Not many people can do this. But realizing, okay, this is right now my comfort zone, and tomorrow I'm already trying one thing that is new to me. It still feels uncomfortable to me, but okay, let's try. Just one step out. Next day, another step out. Meaning, integrate the jump into the uncertainty into your lifetime until it becomes a habit. This is the one way. How to develop that ability to go against the fear. This is one thing. The second part is, I think this is now very useful for everyone. If you have the wrong image about yourself on this earth, if you are viewing yourself like from a wrong perspective, then it just means you will never get into the understanding what type of potential you are actually possessing. The point is, you're becoming more and more refined about there is much more about us. Because in the moment where you realize that bag of skin has more on the inside, it also increases right now your ability. If you say health is important to me, well, then it's not enough to just like use cream on your skin. That is taking care outside. If you know there is more inside, then it means whatever you eat, whatever you do, whatever you're drinking, how does it affect what is inside of you? So all these practices, what does it do? It makes you become more refined about yourself. When you look at yourself, when you sense into yourself, you feel more what you are. Take care of the body, refine the body, and at the same time you refine the mind.